About a century after God's people were allowed to return home from exile, the author of 1st and 2nd Chronicles, perhaps Ezra, sought to inspire the Jews living in Judah to remain faithful to their covenant-keeping God. He did this by reminding them of their unique spiritual heritage and the faithfulness of God, which spanned generations. The book focuses on the spiritual highlights of the nation's history, thus detailing in great length the reign of King David. As king, David sought to restore the worship of God to the epicenter of Israel's life. He brought the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem amidst great celebration and appointed priests and Levites to lead the people in worship in the God-ordained pattern. David longed for people to give God the glory that he deserves. The book of 1st Chronicles also reminded the restored community of their family heritage, substantiated by the lengthy genealogy at the outset of this book. The initial audience for the book understood from the genealogy that they were connected to the great heroes of the faith. Specifically, the genealogy connected them to King David through the line of Judah's son Perez. The remnant had returned and sought to rebuild the temple, which had been ravaged by the pagan Babylonians who took Judah into exile. But God would still be faithful to fulfill the promises he had made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and most recently to King David. Through these men, God would carry forth his plan to redeem his people by the establishment of the Davidic kingdom and the eternal royal reign that he had promised to David. The focus on the great triumphs of David's life, such as his conquest of Jerusalem, his relocation of the Ark to Jerusalem, and his victories over Israel's enemies, emboldened the people with strength and hope in the promises that they were sure to inherit. The promises were meant to prompt the people to worship God. David, during his reign, had done just that. His focus on the tabernacle and temple underscored his desire to see the people worship an ever-faithful God. 1st Chronicles, in a similar fashion, sought to remind people of the central importance of proper worship. God's covenant promises to David were a prelude to what the Messiah would one day bring about. King Jesus walked with God like David, and now draws the hearts of his people to the proper worship of God. In doing so, he is fulfilling the promises made to David and establishing his royal throne forever. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Tell of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all the peoples. 1 Chronicles 16:23-24.